For 30 years, Starbucks sold us a dream, the third place, a sanctuary between home and work where you could escape the world for the price of a latte. It was the velvet couch, the jazz, and the smell of roasted beans.
But in 2026, that dream has an $18 price tag. While the world watches a new $100 million CEO spend billions to bring back the sofas and the soul, a quiet crisis is brewing. Transactions are finally starting to creep up, but the seats, they're still cold.
Is Starbucks actually fighting for its future? Or are we just paying $7 a cup to chase a memory that's already gone? To understand why Starbucks is spending $1 billion to fix itself in 2026, you have to understand the man who built the temple, Howard Schultz, the Godfather. In the late 80s, Schultz went to Italy and saw something America didn't have, the espresso bar. It wasn't just about the caffeine, it was a neighborhood hub. He brought that vibe back to the States and turned coffee into a status symbol. You weren't just buying a drink, you were buying 20 minutes of affordable luxury. For decades, this worked perfectly. Starbucks didn't just sell coffee, they sold experience. They sold the green apron connection. But then, the strategy shifted.
While the shareholders were celebrating record profits in the 2010s, a storm was brewing in the boardroom. The company started moving away from handcrafted and toward efficiency. The third place started feeling more like a fast place. The moment the drive-thru became more important than the sofa, the soul started to leak out. Starbucks stopped being a destination and started being an assembly line. By the time we hit the 2020s, over 70% of orders were coming through a screen or a car window. The third place wasn't a lounge anymore, it was a parking lot. By 2020, Starbucks looked untouchable. But behind the scenes, a massive strategic shift was taking place, one that would prioritize mobile efficiency over everything else. They thought they were building a faster Starbucks. Instead, they were accidentally destroying the one thing that made them special. And the data we're seeing here in 2026 proves just how bad things actually got before the fixer stepped in. Before we look at the numbers that are terrifying Starbucks executives and the scandal involving a private jet, hit that subscribe button. We're diving into the biggest retail collapses and comebacks of the decade, and you won't want to miss our next autopsy on the death of the middle-class department store. Behind the $100 million hype, the early 2026 data reveals a company that didn't just stumble, it practically dismantled its own identity. First, let's talk about the vending machine glitch. For years, the Starbucks app was the gold standard of retail tech. But by late 2025, it had become a terminal illness for the in-store experience. The app allowed for infinite customization and instant ordering, which flooded cafes with phantom customers. When you walk into a Starbucks today, you aren't entering a sanctuary. You're entering a fulfillment center. In early 2026, baristas in over 666 unionized stores launched the Delete the App campaign. They weren't just fighting for better pay. They were fighting against a system that turned them into assembly line robots. One barista famously noted that while the company preaches handcrafted connection, the reality is a 30-drink queue that never ends. Then there's the price. In 2026, the Starbucks habit officially became the Starbucks luxury. Starbucks is trapped. They've raised prices to cover a $1 billion restructuring plan, but in doing so, they've ceded the everyday market to Dunkin. In New York City alone, Starbucks has closed 12% of its locations, officially losing its #1 spot to Dunkin. For a brand built on being on every corner, that's a historic humiliation. But the biggest reckoning isn't in the store, it's in the air.
Brian Niccol was brought in as the savior, but his arrival created a massive PR nightmare. While Starbucks is rolling out its 2026 sustainability report and begging you to use a soggy paper straw, the CEO is supercommuting 1,000 miles on a corporate Gulfstream G550.
In February 2026, the board even removed the $250,000 cap on his personal jet usage, citing security concerns.
It's a tough sell. Tell the barista they can't have a raise because the gap operating margin contracted to 9.0%, while the guy at the top is burning more carbon in one flight than a store does in a year.
The numbers don't lie. Even though transactions are finally up by 3% this quarter, the cost of that growth is staggering. Starbucks' operating income dropped to $867 million, a massive hit compared to previous years. They're spending billions to buy back the soul they sold for speed.
They are closing 400 stores, laying off 900 corporate staff, and essentially admitting that the last 5 years of efficiency were a multi-billion-dollar mistake. But Brian Niccol didn't come here to watch an empire crumble. He's a turnaround specialist. And in early 2026, the numbers finally started to shift. For the first time in 2 full years, 8 straight quarters of decline, the customers are actually coming back. U.S. transactions grew by 3% in Q1 2026. They've shuttered 400 pickup-only locations. They realize that transactional coffee is a race to the bottom, that Dunkin is already winning. Niccol is obsessed with throughput. He's investing $150,000 per store in new Mastrena 3 machines to ensure every drink is done in under 4 minutes, ending the mobile order chaos. The profit margins took a hit because they're finally putting more staff on the floor. They're adding 25,000 seats back into US stores by the end of this year. They're even pivoting the menu, moving away from sugar bombs and toward protein-forward drinks to compete with the health-conscious crowd. It's a massive, multi-billion-dollar attempt to buy back the company's soul. The question is, can a $100 million CEO make a massive global corporation feel like a local coffee shop again? Or is the third place just a nostalgic memory we're paying $7 a cup to chase? If you think Starbucks can actually make a comeback and become that sanctuary again, drop a cocoa in the comments. And if you think it's just a glorified vending machine in a fancy suit, let me know why. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see my next deep dive into the death of the middle-class store. I'm Rise and Fall Hub, and I'll see you in the next one.